3. So Professor Marcus, what I used here, I used this, it's a very lightweight satin that I found. And then I used a very stiff net because I couldn't find Siri here, and Siri here in Dubai they use only stiff net whenever they want to create volume, and to order it from New York it got very expensive. I don't know if I said this in part 3 or 2 or not, but because when I was recording part 3, my phone got out of battery and it died, and the part 3 got lost with it, so I don't know if I'm repeating myself. So basically I used the net because you know, when I got this the horsehairs, it cost me a lot of money to bring it here. So I just got I just put the net, and then after I stitched these layers to the first I actually stitched this fabric, which I also used it as lining. I stitched it to the net, and then I stitched this to this and the net together. And then because so you know we have to do that, like I realized that you know, just attaching this to this thin fabric, it doesn't hold. There is a lot of weight, and this fabric under the machine, if it's only this attached to only this, it will have a lot of wrinkles, a lot of holes. The fabric will get completely damaged. So I first stitch this to the net, and then I stitched all these layers to the to these two together, and then the lining, the same way that we use the lining, I actually made the lining a little bit bigger, because if it's shorter, we learned in the sewing machine and the pattern sewing course and the pattern making course that we have to make the lining a little bit bigger, otherwise if it's too tight it will just pull the outside. So I just made it a bit 1/4 inch bigger, and then I just did a hand slip stitch all around it. So for the top section I just did a normal bodice, and then on the normal bodice, my friend you know, she had a dress form and I sort of rented it from her. But the dress forms are horrible. They're nothing like the ones that we used in class there in like by Wolf form. But you know, for this part, I don't know if you recall, but I made a skirt with similar pattern with like this before, and I used pattern making. But then with pattern making, when I tried to make these folds with organza, the organza got extremely damaged. And even though I basted all, if you want, I will also send you the pictures. I have to go look for it, but I remember that when I made this skirt with it's exactly like this, like I used a satin underneath, and then I laid the organza with pleats on top of it for the skirt. I'm actually going to show you the skirt in another video. But anyways, through the pattern making, that skirt got really damaged in the process, even though I basted with hand. All of it, all of these pleats, I basted with hand. So for this, I tried to use a different technique. On the form, it was the form is like the smallest size they had, and it's close to my measurements. But I don't know if I said it in the other video. I lost a lot of weight in Dubai, so I got much smaller than I was in New York. So I actually had to make a lot of adjustments after I finished it on the form. I had to make a lot of adjustments. So you know, even for the skirt, I left all these layers open at the back, and then when I finalized the measurements of the waist here, then I finished with that. Yeah, so I could just hold it from the back. I'm gonna take it in from the back. So here I just draped it. And I didn't even drape it with another fabric and then transfer the pattern. I just draped this organza on the mannequin, and I draped them separately. Like I didn't drape this and then put it on the paper and then cut another one exactly like it. What I did is just I put a tape, because I wanted this tape to be, I wanted the middle to be this satin tape. So what I did is just I put a tape on the dress form, and then I just started to, and then I did my marking for the shoulder and for the armhole, and then I just, just turned the fabric as I was going along. I made this pleat, I made this pleat, I made this pleat, I made this pleat, this pleat. And you know what, it's so much you can do when you do it. Like, you don't need to even design on paper. The design that I originally made on paper, it was much different than when I actually started draping it, because when I first put it on paper, I didn't put these pleats, these small ones. But then when I was draping it, I realized that these mini ones, they look so nice. So I started to make these. And and through pattern making you cannot make it, because then for the pattern making you have to check where the dart goes, and then it's not as natural that as it would have gone with this way. And you see here, these pleats actually overlay this pleat. They're at they intersect this pleat, which is really cool, because the fabric is really thin and it doesn't make it very thick here, but it looks so nice. It's like sunlight. It's just a ray that goes out. And this pleat and this pleat. And for this one, I just, with my eye, I just try to make this like this. But unfortunately I made a mistake, and here you see I made it like it got a bit damaged with the pins that I was draping. But this one, it was very good. But it's not, they are not, to be honest, they are not exactly the same, because I did it with eye. I didn't transfer this to here. Like, for example, you see this pleat got bigger than this pleat over here, a little bit different. So, and over here also you would see that there are some differences, like this is smaller than this one. But actually altogether it looks nice. It's not something obvious. It looks natural. And I just love it so much. Especially last night I was wearing it and everybody is like, oh my god, look at that, look at that. And so many bloggers took pictures of the dress. The back of it had too much fabric, and a corset, a bustier would have not hold this skirt. There is no way. The person who would wear it would go through hell. Even if inside the bustier they stitch it separate. Sometimes we see it in Oscar de la Renta. They do have a special technique of using a power net, which is stretchy, and it's like it's like a bra. The stretchiness is like a bra, and it would hold the corset. But this is very heavy. I'm not thinking this is heavier than Oscar de la Renta's skirts, but still it's very heavy. And honestly, I don't know, even though I did a lot of research, I found a lot of websites that you actually pay monthly and they teach you a lot about bustiers. But this technique that Oscar de la Renta uses, they don't even know in Dubai. Even I went to a house which was very famous, Michael something, and they didn't even, I looked at their garments, they didn't even know what they do in New York. And even when I was in New York, I asked Professor Brigitte if she can find out, but then this is something that only the pattern makers inside Zac Posen and Oscar de la Renta would know. And those stretchy ones has a special, the bustier inside has a much smaller pattern because they use a stretchy net. And actually, so it looks, so we needed something to hold. So, and I didn't have a proper dress form at the beginning. This dress form came much later than I started working, and as I told you, I sort of rented it from a friend. I don't even have it anymore. So, and it wasn't good anyway. I'm going to go to part 4 and I'm going to explain the net part that I did, this part.